Alrighty, what is going on, my fellow Overwatch gamers? Today we're going to be doing a VOD review for our buddy Northridge on Reinhardt. I don't know what the map is, I'm going to be real, but you'll see in a bit. We'll talk about a few core things, like things that he should just know for basics, as well as just like try to figure out if I can teach him anything other than that, but I'd say that he just needs the basics at first, just, nothing too crazy, right? So let's get into the game. And make sure the volume's low on the lower end. Okay, cool. So first off, one thing that I've noticed from playing with him, because that's my boy, right? As well as just like, this is a beginner thing, right? Your charge, right? Usually this cooldown is pretty bad. It doesn't. I like to use it for movement, or in the rare occasion that you can get like a environmental kill, like throwing somebody off the map, and or just pinning somebody, right? But it'll charge fast enough to where you can use it out of spawn, right? So every time you're leaving spawn, you should be able to just charge out, right? And the reason why I'm going to emphasize this now is because you should be in front of your team. I feel like you're one of the best people to get information when it comes to just peeking through mains, because you have so much health, right? But you're going to walk all the way out here, right? And it's going to take you so long to get to point. The enemy team's going to beat you there. Like you should be there before they're there. So definitely charge here.
Let's get this done. Engaging enemy forces.
Alright, so one thing to take note about the game is that the point doesn't unlock right away, right? And I guess this is like a way to like make sure people just don't run Lucio every single game, because if you run a Lucio and get the point faster than the other team, they won't have it'll be a lot harder, right? So whatever, it doesn't matter. But so you don't have to necessarily straight go to the point, right? So in my head, with this time, it's like time to figure out what the enemy team is running, where are they playing, how should we play into it, right? So don't feel like you necessarily have to run to point, but you should definitely posture in a way that allows you to get to point, right? So if I were you, I would play close to point, and not necessarily on it, but close enough to where I can, I can go to point, or if I need to go somewhere else, I can go somewhere else, right? So around this corner, right? So I see Narisa, cool. So right here, we'll talk about it real quick. So the main things you need to think about are going to be cover, cooldowns, and your HP, right? So right now, this is a great example. You are behind natural cover, right? Damage cannot pass through this object, which means it's very safe. And it means as long as you're behind this object, technically you're invincible. Obviously, AoE, things can hit you around the corner, right? But for the most part, most damage is direct, and it will not be able to pass through this, and you'll live, right? But the issue about natural cover is sometimes the natural cover you have isn't where you need to be, right? So with that being said, this natural cover is great, but in about 10 seconds, you need to be on the objective, right? So what else could be used as natural cover? These pillars that are on the objective, right? So that's more natural cover. What happens if you have no natural cover, right? That's when you start leaning on your cooldowns and your HP, right? So your main cooldown for survivability is going to be your shield, right? Your shield has 1400 health, as you can see. It can break quite easily, if I'm being honest. But what I want you to do with that shield is I want you to treat it like your health, right? I want you to treat your shield health pool and your health pool very similarly. I don't want you to ever let this break. If you let it break, it makes you like basically not a character. There will be times it breaks, and it's beyond your control, but I don't want you to allow it to break. So you should be using it in short bursts in a sense, so that you can prevent damage as well as like cross gaps. So if I were you, if I wanted to cross from this natural cover to this natural cover, I would do a tech which is like you jump and shield so that you can keep your momentum, right? And basically just use the shield to get to this cover, and then once you get to that cover, you can use the cover, right? And then obviously, like I said, you don't want your shield to just break, so you're going to have to use your health as well, as a way to kind of like keep this up while also not letting yourself die, right? So you have all this health to play with. Don't be afraid to take a few shots, especially since you have all this armor. I'm not sure if you know, yellow health is armor, blue health is shields, and green health is, I think, over health or something like that. But one thing to think about this, right, is that shield health takes reduced damage. I'm not sure if it's like 10%. We'll just say 10%, right? So it's more health than what you think it actually is. not great at math. Don't quote me. So right here, you're going to your team, right? And the reason I'm not too fond of this is because when you do stuff like this, you're basically making yourself a shield, right? And that's it. Which is cool. You have a shield, right? But there's more to you than your shield. You have a hammer, right? And that's how you're going to build most of your ult charge. If you're not building ult charge, you're going to be like 80% of a character in a sense, right? So definitely want to make sure that you're playing within your effective range as well. There will be times where shielding your teammates is nice, it's good, but I don't want you to forget that you also do damage as well, and your damage is also a big part of this game. So right here, like you're like cool, protecting team. Like what are you doing, right? Like their whole time, right? Like compare your gameplay to their tank's gameplay. He has been shooting this whole time, right? He is at, what is this, 10%? It might be a little bit more. I think this is 18. Let's say this is 18%, right? For his 18%, you're at 8. He is dramatically beating you to his ult, right? So we want to make sure that we're keeping up and or beating them. Yeah. So right here, like you take a lot of damage here, and you have full health, right? So like this is where I'm saying to not be afraid to take some of that like the armor health damage, right? So you can maintain a little bit more shielding and get to that that natural cover. Remember, you have a team behind you. Your team's not just gonna let you die. They shouldn't, at least. So boom, you end up catching somebody off guard because, in my opinion, in his head, you shouldn't be back there. So he thinks he's getting a flank off. You're in a weird position, so you catch him out, right? So this is a good thing, right? But at the same time, it's not, because this is not a good habit, right? In the sense of, you shouldn't really be in a position to kill this person, you know? He should have gotten out. He should have TP'd out. He didn't. And if he would have, you would have wasted all that time trying to kill him when he just gets out, just for you to give up more time off the cap. So that's a great example of just because something works doesn't mean it's good. So right there, boom, we have a pick, right? We have an advantage. It is a 5v4, and you know that because you've killed someone, right? We need to walk forward. We need to gain space. Look at your team. They're walking up. You need to walk up. Now you're connecting the objective, right? You're playing around natural cover. This is good. Right, so right here, you don't need to shield. You're already behind this huge drum, right? By you shielding, what does that do? You're just like overprotecting yourself when you don't need to. And now they're going to shoot your shield, and they're going to start draining that health, right? Which you don't want. The whole point of this natural cover is to preserve that health. You drop it, cool. But like you're exiting your natural cover. Play on the drum. Play on the drum. Play drum and just swing your hammer. Swing, boom. Yeah. You leave natural cover, you're gonna get blown up. So right here, boom, swing. I want you to swing your hammer right here. Like, look at this. So, one great example is you're not swinging here, and you have a beam connected to you, right? A blue beam, which means you do more damage. But what this should tell you more is you have support. You have people that are helping you. His team is around the corner, meaning if you swing your hammer, the only damage that you're gonna take is from this tank, right? Until he goes back around this corner and forces you to peek that corner. This is basically like a 3v1 in a sense, because there's a Mercy healing you, and I think somebody's to your left. He might be in vision of them, but I'm not sure. But right now is a great opportunity to get some swings in. I think your swing might pass through that as well. Like, look, like you're like you have a direct heal connected to you. You're not swinging. You're letting them break your shield. You're basically not playing the game. You need to get the natural cover somewhere. Yeah. But like, you see how long it took you to build your ult? Like, okay, you have your ult now. When did you actually build it? You built it on that last life, right? So it took you 82%, basically. Like, we'll say that. Probably like 80%. It took you 80% to get your ult. That's not good. It's not good at all. That's taking way too long. So you're back, boom. So now pathing. right? You hear someone shooting. It's 80%. You need to get to the objective. You need to be the one that contests, right? So the fastest way to the objective is either going to be through the mid, or since you hear Risa over here around the right side, right? Because she won't be able to contest you right away because she's slow and has to walk everywhere, right? So by you going through this pathing here and going towards the left, right? You're not making it like you're giving them extra points when you could have already, been in a position to contest. Alrighty, so I mean, I think we talked about a decent amount of things, right? And I don't want to watch the whole entire VOD just to tell you the same things over and over and over again, right? So what we're gonna do is this is called giving you homework, right? Boom, black screen. All right, so from what I witnessed, right? The things that you need to work on, right, is you need to abuse natural cover more, right? You need to swing more, right? Because you're taking way too long to build up ult charge. So you need to abuse natural cover, swing more, and then I would say use your charge for movement. Right, so abuse natural cover more, swing more, and use charge for movement. I think if you work on these three things, it'll definitely dramatically increase your skill. Because I feel like you're a smart player, right? In the sense of you understand how the game kind of flows, in the sense of you know what you need to do, right? I need to contest the objective. Things need to die, right? It's not like you're oblivious, like, what am I doing, right? Obviously, you don't have that much experience on Overwatch, but I know, like, I've played with you, so I've heard the conversations and things that you said, so I know that you at least understand what you're supposed to be doing. But I feel like sometimes you're not doing them because you're too focused on helping your team, right? So we'll put that here too. Less team help, more fight. Right? Because I promise you, if you start doing this more, right, your teammates will follow you. But if you constantly follow your teammates, you're relying on them to get value and not yourself. And you're a tank. Tanks are really strong. They can't do things on their own, but they can enable a lot, right? There's some tanks that can, but for the most part, tanks aren't like super just hyper carries, but they can open up a lot. Like, it's kind of like, I mean, you've played football, I think, or you at least understand football. Imagine the line. That's basically the tanks, the line, where like, let's say the offensive line, right? They can do a lot, but they can't win the game by themselves, right? They can block, they can make big plays, right? They can literally make someone not be able to play the game, right? But at the end of the day, they can't score. They need people to score for them. There might be rare occasions where you make big plays, and things like that, or you score somehow, right? Fumbles, cool, right? Football analogies. But for the most part, your job is to do things proactively so that your team can do things. It's like, we'll go back to the football example, right? The O-line has a job and they know what they need to do. They don't turn around at their running back and see what they want to do and then adapt to them. They do their job and the running back adapts to that line. You know what I'm saying? So it's quite literally just like football. But yeah, I think you definitely have a lot of room for improvement, but I definitely see you doing that very quickly. Don't be afraid to reach out for more coaching if that's something you'd be interested, because I love doing it, and I definitely would love to see everybody progress in the ways they want to. But with that being said, for everybody else, if you like content like this, don't be afraid to leave a like and comment down below if you want to see more or have any other ideas of content that I can do relating to coaching. Other than that, don't forget to subscribe if this is content that you like to see, so you never miss out on a video or anything that's me related. And with that being said, hopefully I see you guys in the next one. Take care and peace. Peace.